Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So today's video, we're going to learn a few things. This is a brand new start of chapter 8. So we're going to learn three things here. So arc length, area of sector, and area of segment. So these are the three new things we're going to learn. It's actually very simple, so don't need to worry about it. So let's get to it. So we will start with some recap. This is a little bit of a recap of the stuff you should know, and probably I'm quite sure you will know it. This chapter heavily depends on a lot of these circle things. So some of the recap: area of circle, pi r square, circumference, 2 pi r. Okay, so this is the only thing you need to know. So we're going to start the chapter with some terminology. So you can see that there's a lot of new words here. Okay, so we're going to explain one by one what all of these things are, because if you don't know what the things are, you don't know what they want you to find, and you can't do it, right? So the thing you must learn is all these new words lah. Okay, let's go for this. So you can see that figure 1, figure 1, you draw a line AB. So just anyhow draw two lines that cuts a circle, and then that line, this AB line, is called a chord. Okay, then you can see that there's a ACB, right? So if you follow the letter, it will be ACB, and then it's part of the circumference. So it's here. We're talking about this length over here, the one pencil is going. So this length here is called arc. So that's the first thing we're going to learn today, the arc. Okay, we call it arc length because it's the length of the arc. Okay, so the next thing we're going to learn is you can see that there's actually two arcs here. If you draw AB, there's an arc here, and then there's another arc also. See, technically this one is also part of the circle. So this is called the major arc, and then this small one is called the minor arc. So that's these two, major and minor. The bigger one is the major, the smaller one is the minor. Okay, so next thing you can see that the AB line, so this chord here also divides the whole circle in two parts. You can see that the shaded part here and the non-shaded part. So these two parts are called segments. So and obviously by common sense, the smaller one, the shaded one here, is called the minor segment. This big one is called the major segment. So you can see that major segment, minor segment, and then they are just called segments. Okay, now let's continue. You'll see that in figure 2, again we have a circle here. So I sort of draw the two lines from the center to the circumference. So you can see that these two lines are actually the radius of the circle. Okay, and then you can see that where is it? Here. So you can see that when you draw the so-called radius, it forms a sector. So where is this sector? The shaded one is a sector. I call it the pizza. I often call it the pizza because it looks like a pizza, right? So radius, and the arc will form this thing called the pizza, also called the sector. And again, by common sense, the smaller one will be called the minor sector, and then the big one over here, unshaded one, is the major sector. Okay, yeah, so these are the few areas. So these are the main things that we're going to talk about. Arc, so we have three new words: arc, we got the segment, and we got the sector. So these are the three things that we're going to talk about this whole chapter. Okay, so now we're going to start with some formulas. The formulas are actually very common sense. A lot of people keep trying to remember them, but it's actually just common sense. Let me demonstrate. So you can see that we have a sector here, a pizza. We'll start with the sector. No, sorry. We'll start with the arc first. Okay, let's start with the arc. So this arc here, ACB, okay, has an angle that is x. Okay, then based on this angle and the radius, we can actually figure out how long this part is. Okay, so this is actually very common sense. The actual formula is over here. Now this looks a little scary, but look at it from another point of view. Let me show you two more circles. So it's also a circle. I also draw a arc here, right? So the angle is 90. So it's pretty obvious in this case that the whole circle is the circumference. This part is just 1/4 of the circumference, because this is 90 degrees and there's 4 parts to it, right? So if I sort of divide the circle into 4 parts, there's 1 part, 2 part, 3 part, 4 part. it is actually 1/4. So this is exactly what this formula is. If you look at this part, the underlying part, it is 2 pi r. What is 2 pi r? It is the circumference of the whole circle. And then if you look at what is x over 360, in our case, in this case, it is 90 over 360. Now, where does the 360 come from? 360 come from the whole circle is 360. So it is actually a fraction of the circumference. We are talking about 90 over 360. If you simplify 90 over 360, so 90 over 360 is actually just 1/4. So it's common sense, isn't it? It's just 1/4 of the whole circle. I give you another example, even more obvious one. If I draw a diameter here, this is clearly half the circle, right? That's why it's half times the circumference. And that's why it is 180 over 360, which is also equal to half. Okay, so when you want the arc, you times the circumference because it is a fraction of the circumference. Now, when it comes to the sector over here, you can see that it's actually the same formula, isn't it? More or less. The only difference is over here. And what is pi r square? Pi r square is the area of the circle. So in the same light, if I look at this sector over here, by law of common sense, it's obvious that it is 1/4 of the whole circle, right? And it's 90 over 360 of the whole circle, which is pi r square. So that's where this formula and this formula come from. Now, what are these two then? So these two, the major, right? So the major arc here is the big one. So the angle is y instead. So that's why it's y over 360. So actually it's the same formula, just that, it's just different numbers. So with this, let's start doing some very simple question. You will quickly get the idea. Okay, we've got a circle, we've got 30 radius here, angle 60 over here. And then I want minor arc ACB. So minor arc will be this one. So this is the arc that we want, is the arc. So we need to take circumference, right? So it's 60 over the whole circle, 360, times the circumference, which is 2 pi r. R is over here, 30. Press calculator, done. After that, I want major arc. Major arc will be the big one. So by law of common sense, if this is 60, this angle here must be 300 because they add up to 360. So that's why it's 300 over 360 times, again, 2 pi r because I want circumference. Now after that, there are scale parameter. Now I put a star here because this is easily, you can do this wrong. Perimeter of the sector. So we're looking at where? This, and this. So it's the perimeter of the pizza. So it's this arc length plus the radius plus the radius. So a lot of people will forget to plus the radius, then you're finished. Okay, so it's arc plus r. So the arc is over here, plus 30, and that's the answer. Okay, so the next question in the example, there's a QR code here, so I'm not going to go through this, but this is basically very simple. You can try this on your own. The answer you can see over here. If you cannot get the answer, you don't know how to do, you can scan the QR code. After that, I think this is the second last question we're going to go through. So again, I have a circle, I got 70, I got the radius 5. What do I want? I want area of the minor sector, so it will be this part. Okay, so it's quite easy. So it's going to be 70 over 360 times pi r square because I want sector. So it's 70, 360 pi r square. So pi r square, 5 is the radius. Press calculator, done. After that, I want major sector. So that will be the big one. So same thing, this angle will be 290. So 290 over 360 pi r square, done. Okay, so the last thing we're going to learn today is segment. Now we're going for a segment. Remember, you draw a B here, you cut the circle into two parts, this part and this part. So this shaded part is the minor segment, and then the non-shaded part, the whole thing over here, is called the major segment. Now, there's no real formula. This looks really scary, right? But actually, it is common sense. It is just the sector, which is the pizza, minus away this triangle. Now, how do you get a triangle? It is half A, B, sine C. That's why this is half AB sine C. This is actually the sector. So it's the pizza minus the triangle. I like to draw this all the time. So I like to draw the pizza minus the triangle. Once you see in this light, suddenly this formula becomes common sense, isn't it? Okay, so let's try a question here. This will be probably the last question. We have a circle, blah blah blah, 78, okay. So I want area of AOB. So that's a triangle, right? So this triangle AOB. So it's half AB sine C. So it's half AB sine C. So these two are the radius. So they are both 8. That's why it's half 8 sine 70. Okay, so done. After that, I want minor sector. So that will be this pizza here. Okay, so it's 70 over 360 times pi r squared. So 70/360 pi r squared, because I want area of the part of a circle. After that, they ask for the minor segment. So you see, they're very friendly. They make you find the sector, make you find the triangle over here, because the answer is simply the sector minus the triangle. You get the answer. But take note, you got to use the long decimal. Long decimal. Do not use this and this. Right? You can see that I use the long decimal, minus 3 significant figure. Done. So this is quite common sense, isn't it? Okay. So the last question, this will be a hard question. Now you can see that that's the working. Oh my god, this is considered a difficult question. So you can give it a try, but this one you probably won't be able to do it because the first time you're seeing. So you can scan this QR code and then you see how to do it. Okay. So with this, we are at homework 2 already. I skipped homework 1, so you please start doing the homeworks before you go on to the next part. So hope you've learned something from this video. Thank you and bye bye.